Album Concept Hour. The Album Concept Hour. It's the Album Concept Hour.
Welcome to the Hold on. Take two.
Welcome to the
Welcome to the Everybody
Album
Concepts
Hour.
Podcast Hour. Welcome to the Album Concept Hour. My name is Brad LeBaron. I am your host as usual, and we have our regular co-hosts. We have the whole team here today. There's no Trevor, but he's an auxiliary part of the team. But we got virtual John. What's going on, John?
Oh, just chilling over here. Ready to dive into some The Band.
The Band. What band is it? Well, you'll find out after I introduce the rest of these people. We have virtual Dave. What's going on, Dave?
Hello.
What's going on? And we have our newest edition co-host. We have Jake the Snake Foster. What's going on, Jake?
Hey, everybody.
We are
excited for this one.
Yes, we are all pretty friggin' stoked about this one. As John said, we are covering a classic by The Band. If you don't know what band we're talking about, it's The Band. It is
the
band?
The Band.
The Band.
Yeah. I was confused about it at first when I found out, like, originally.
The band?
Bob Dylan's
band
original electric band.
Yeah. So we're covering the band's album. It's like technically it's like a soundtrack to their final concert film, but it is called The Last Waltz, which is the movie is directed by Martin Scorsese. It has just got a plethora of guests of the time period. Came out in 1978, so some original rock and roll people were getting older. So there's so many amazing cameos on this album and movie. It's one of my favorites. I can just gush about this all day. Like, when I saw this film, it really opened my eyes to a lot of cool stuff. But what do you guys' experience with this album?
Oh, I believe it's like the first time I ever heard, like, Up on Crickle Creek was by them. They did this version. There's also Ted used to play a song all the time.
The Wait?
No, not The Wait. Which one is it?
From this album or just the band song?
Was it Forever Young?
No.
What about you, Dave? What got you into the band, The Last Waltz, while he's looking up the song?
Actually, a long time ago, again, just kind of breaking into non-punk bands and albums. Got in the band, got like their self-titled, got music for Big Pink, and finally entered into The Last Waltz, loved it, and then I think within a week bought the DVD.
Okay.
Watched that I don't know how many times, and I will say, I'll bring this up again, but still shocked when I finally saw how big Van Morrison was.
Yeah.
For a little guy, he actually is pretty athletic. He had a lot of big kicks in the video.
Yeah.
Who?
Van Morrison.
Oh, Van Morrison. Oh, yeah.
He's a little guy.
Yeah, I was like, some of these people I'd never actually seen before, on screen. So,
well, and especially in such high definition, like, this was the concert film.
Yeah. This was like the greatest.
Martin Scorsese for that.
Yeah, this was like the greatest concert film ever at this point, right? I don't know how much like money it made. I didn't look up the movie stuff so much, but I would assume that this was a not blockbuster necessarily, because it wasn't really a thing at that point. This is like right as Star Wars is happening, but I'm sure they made their money.
Well, blockbuster was a thing when the second half of Star Wars happened.
Yeah.
No, the song I was thinking of was The Night They Drove Old Dixie-Town.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Ted used to play that all the time on one of his playlists.
It's a good one. It's a lot of really
a lot of classics on this too, by the way. Just.
What about you, Jake? What was your kind of first exposure to this album or this band?
I think maybe middle school. I think we had the band's greatest hits.
Okay.
And I really liked the band overall. They always had such a distinct sound. Mm-hmm. And then got into I don't know, more of their stuff as I got older. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, just got into their catalog more, and it was like, God, this stuff is just so good. And I think probably 5 years ago now, one of the local music scenes had this is specifically with The Last Waltz, had reached out to me because of the radio show and was invited me to this thing. It was the High Noon presents High Noon Saloon in Madison, Madison, Wisconsin presents The Last Waltz. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, that sounds really, really cool. And I think I had seen parts of it, when I went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I think this was playing there. Yeah. At different points. So I had seen parts of it, but I didn't sit down and watch the whole thing. And then I went to that show, and they did such an awesome job of putting everything together. The poets that are in the movie, they brought out everybody. Everybody had a role, and everybody played, and it was just so cool. And then I found the concert itself, and then it had all of these musical icons that I love so much, and all of these
Dr. John.
And
I forgot he was on it.
So it was it was really cool to see it in its entirety, and then Martin Scorsese being the director, and how well it was done, and then watching it and thinking about and hearing Robbie Robertson talk about he's this, we're leaving the road, this is the final, this is it, and being able to document that and as a band decide that you were ending it on your own terms, which we later I can talk about how that wasn't the case, but at the time I saw it, I thought it was pretty cool.
I mean, often when a band says that this is it, it's usually it for maybe a decade or something, and then they're I miss playing music, let's play some music.
Well, the thing, I don't know if you want to go into this now, but Robbie Robertson never thought that this was going to be the last thing that they did together.
Well, it's it's more like the last of I always kind of saw it as the last of an era, the last of
them being a band that toured.
Yeah, as well as being an end to kind of the generation that preceded them and inspired them, that helped probably shape who they were as musicians. So I kind of saw it as a culmination of a few things in the naming of The Last Waltz.
And I think Robbie goes into when I watched the documentary on, it's supposed to chronicle what he said in his book, which sounds like a great book to read.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of quotes about that one on the internet.
Yeah, he talked about how he had this notion that he's we're gonna put this great thing together, and how many struggles they had on the road. Richard Manuel didn't show up for he was he couldn't find a stash of drugs, and so he just wouldn't play, and he wouldn't play in Cleveland. And he's they went through all these things, and so then when I'm thinking about what Robbie Robertson was saying in the film, he's the road is so tough, and I never really knew exactly what he was talking about.
Yeah, the road is tough.
Yeah,
I definitely like. I mean, I didn't have a whole lot of touring experience compared to like some bands, but like, we would have like weekends where we'd be like doing like 2 or 3 shows like really far away, and like,
yeah,
you really like not only with the venues and the places you're going, but you start to butt heads with your bandmates, and you start to have to have discussions about pulling your weight around the and helping out on tour. So yeah,
and they were together for 16 years doing like going from the bottom all the way up to like,
well, because they were a lot of them were this similar age, right, when they got together, besides like 1 or 2. I think we've talked about this off mic before, but weren't a lot of them younger dudes?
I think
kind of
Levon was
together?
a little bit older.
Yeah.
Levon was playing with Ronnie Hawkins and the Hawks.
Yeah.
And Robbie Robertson like showed up and I think showed up to a show and was like running around trying to do whatever he could to get into the music business. And he saw this like this blonde-haired kid on drums, and he was just like twirling drumsticks and like going crazy.
Oh, nice.
And sure enough, it was Levon Helm playing with Ronnie Hawkins and the Hawks. And then he ended up like talking to him, getting to know Ronnie Hawkins, and then getting an audition and getting into the band. And then a couple other guys quit. And then I think Robbie like had known these musicians in Canada around Toronto, because all these guys are around that, from around that area.
Yeah.
And then recruited them. So
well, actually, now that we're talking about that, I actually do have a clip that is a little relevant. This is a part of the movie. I have a few of these clips. I have sections from the movie.
Is it Garth talking?
I don't know the names that well, but it's the one with the big ass beard. Like
Garth.
Probably Garth.
Okay, yeah.
So like the music instructor to the band.
Yeah. This is a clip from the of it where they're talking about how they finally came up with the name, the band, instead of the other incarnations that they were playing around with.
Well, we were the Hawks. And everything was fine. We were sailing along, and all of a sudden one day the Hawks meant something else altogether.
And it was right in the middle of that whole psychedelia. And a chocolate subway, marshmallow overcoat. Right. Those kind of names,
When we were working with Bob Dylan, and we moved to Woodstock, everybody referred to us as the band. He called us the band, our friends called us the band, our neighbors called us the band.
And we started out with the Crackers. We tried to call ourselves the Honkies. No, everybody kind of backed off from that. It was too straight. So we decided just to call ourselves the band.
I do wonder if they turned up the volume right at the end there when he says the band, because it's just so loud every time.
And I think it was rolling into the next song. Right?
Yes, this is right. I think the reason I remember this one so well is it's right before The Wait, which is one of my favorite live performances.
And they're like
ever,
their classic song.
Yeah.
The staple singers.
Yeah. There's. I mean, I had an old roommate that introduced this to me. He was just obsessed with this DVD. He would watch it all the time. I'm really, really happy that he introduced it to me. It's one of the
very inspired last performance.
Yeah. No, it
really shows like the power that they had too, because like everyone comes out for this.
Yeah.
Bob Dylan, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
Well, so
Ringo.
and
They were
their their transformation with Bob Dylan, like they had Ronnie Hawkins even admitted in this film that I watched that he like the band had outgrown him musically. Like they were just so talented. Taj Mahal as a like Zydeco blues musician from I think New Orleans area, and he called them like Americas, or like, because I mean most of them are from Canada, but he called them like the Beatles. Like he compared them.
Yeah,
they were that talented.
Absolutely, I agree.
And that's why they were the band. You listen to them, they got everything. They got the good drums, they got the piano, they got the guitars, they got the basses.
I was going to say, though, before we get into actually hearing them themselves, we have to listen to this first part, the intro, which is the theme from The Last Waltz. So this really immediately pulls you into the, I guess, concept they have behind the, album, because, this was made just for this and for the film and everything. I don't believe this is pre-existing to the band's discography.
No, and there's a song by Engelbert Humperdinck called "The Last Waltz," and it semi feels the same. And I thought it was like Robbie had rewritten that song for this, and it is not. Robbie Robertson wrote this.
I think Waltz is just probably, if you're, to the uninitiated, all sound the same. I don't know the difference between any two waltzes. I can tell you that right now. But this is the theme from The Last Waltz.
Really good way to set the mood.
Yeah.
They show like the chandeliers in that hall. It's great.
Yeah. I mean, I always thought that, when I was younger, I thought it was kind of silly, I didn't really I was like,
appreciate it.
Yeah, no. But, I get it, it's not what the band sounds like, but it is, it goes with the theme, and with the beginning and end of the album, it really, I think it really ends up connecting, and some of the ways that they're laying out songs here and there, especially, a lot of this we'll get into in part two, but
it sounded a little bit like the Circus.
Yeah, definitely.
Which I found out, like Robbie Robertson apparently like grew up around the circuses, and worked at different circuses, and then he ended up being in that. There's a movie called Carney released in like 1980.
Carney,
and it bombed at the box office.
Oh, I wonder
why. Gary Sinise, no.
Newman?
No, maybe Gary Sinise. The really weird one.
I don't know, man.
Well, anyways, it was Jodie Foster and him, and
I could see those two together.
But he had ended up making a movie about the whole thing. So
okay.
Gary Busey. That's
Gary Busey. Okay, you're right. That is the crazy.
That's a wild card for you.
That's the wild one.
My Peter, you got a hug for your buddy Gary Busey.
Yeah. And his son is pretty normal, but whatever. Yeah, so he lived near a circus. Okay, that actually
was part of it. So there's some songs in here that there's one song called "Life is a Carnival." There's
yeah, I think that there is this isn't like a standard concept album, but I think that they're definitely making extremely intentional choices with the track listings, and they're trying to get some stuff out as their kind of story of their experience, I think. So Yeah. Do you want to move on to up on Cripple Creek though?
Up on Creek.
I would love to go there.
So that we can hear just a little bit.
We going rafting
of the actual band, the band.
The wind came around the track, me and Sweet Bessie had one. I'm going up on Cripple Creek. She sends me if I spring a leak. She bears me, I don't have to sleep. She defends me a drunker street.
If I ever did see one.
So that's the clavinet, a Honor clavinet being played with a wah-wah pedal.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
Okay.
By Garth Hudson, and it would be a sound that would become famous in the early mid 70s, especially in funk music, like in Superstition.
Oh, that's the same instrument.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
And apparently, like, Garth was one of, like, probably the first person to do this. And it just shows you the way that this band, the band, moved through so many genres.
The mother trucking band.
And
so
that was just a musical genius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
the amount of instruments,
the ability, like, to
shocking.
classify this stuff as one genre is just impossible.
Yeah, it's kind of at that nexus. Like I think maybe that's why it's compared to the Beatles, because like the Beatles does cover a lot of genres and throughout their discography. But this is like the Beatles if the Beatles were like even more music oriented. You know what I mean? And collaborated with people more. Like that's like the Beatles didn't really. Until like maybe after the Beatles
broke through that
really...
dam and just exploded and just played with so many people and experimented even more, not just with the drugs.
Well, wait, I think Clapton was on one track, but it wasn't like
But compared to this, no.
No, this is interweaving and like playing with other bands in that kind of old school way of doing that, where it was like we are all trained musicians. We all, mostly, trained musicians. We know what we're doing, and we can just jump into each other's things and just make the magic happen.
And like we'll get into it later, I think, but like the way that they jumped around to different instruments, and like Levon would play mandolin, and Richard Manuel would jump from piano playing to drums. Like that is so
they're all
crazy.
Well versed, like.
Yeah,
I can't remember. I'll try to find them while we're talking. But there is someone they made a list of like everything that these people have played or can play, and like it's insane. But they can play it for instruments.
Well, I was gonna say I have the album myself. So
under the cover, right?
Yes, under the actual cover. And so I have like the actual like detailed listings of like each song. They really do go into a lot of detail. So like up on Cripple Creek, that's mostly Levon Helm, but
him singing,
the theme from the Last Waltz,
great drummer.
I was gonna say the theme from the Last Waltz, just to demonstrate what we're saying. We have Robbie Robertson on the harp guitar. We have Levon Helm on the mandolin, Rick Danko on the electric stand-up bass, Richard Manuel on the dobro guitar, and then Garth Hudson on the pipe, organ, and synthesizer. So I was actually assuming that first track was just like one or two of them. I didn't think it was all five. So that's really cool that they can just pick up and do a completely different thing as a band. But, yeah. But we probably won't get too much into the themes so much of the songs in this podcast because there's so many people and stories to talk about. Like I mean, everyone knows Up on Cripple Creek. It's a song about a dude that is excited about a prostitute that he keeps seeing. A lot of these songs are about the blues and about that kind of thing. It's classic like rock.
They're real good songs to listen to if you're ever out in your hunting cabin someday.
Yeah.
Sitting there cleaning your gun.
That's intense. I mean,
no, I mean it though. Like these are
Yeah.
That's
No,
why
you're
you
right.
always
You're
kind
right.
of get this southern drawl like attached to them because even though they're
there's the what is it? Isn't Levon Helm from
He's from like
Arkansas?
West Memphis area in Arkansas, and if you've ever been to West Memphis, it is like if you go across the river from Memphis, it's like they have a completely different accent. It's like a completely different place. And it's such a bed of different musical styles that have crossed over.
Yeah.
It was really interesting to me that Levon didn't have as much of an influence writing this stuff as I thought he did.
I actually did too. I thought that
Robbie
he had
Robertson,
more of a Helm.
Yeah. I thought they shared more of that stuff, but it's mostly Robbie, at least with the songs, and then the arrangements is all the band, rest of the band.
And I love that. I love that, like, when a band member that is a big part of the writing has enough sense to take the back seat when he needs to, and not let the ego get ahead of it or whatever. It's like,
or is open enough to like have ideas and have other people jump in and take a reign, and like if they have an idea, like, all right, let's bring this in now, we can use that.
It's kind of like when we were listening to the Fleetwood Mac album.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah,
they're literally like they write the song, but then they present it to the band.
Yeah,
the band. Haha.
Yeah,
and and then somebody goes, well, wait a second, hold up, let me do.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's good. We'll add that. Scratch that right there.
The collaboration is just amazing in this time period, or in this group of musicians, at least.
It's right before all the egos crashed.
Yes, right before the egos of the 70s came and culminated in the 80s.
I think ultimately what broke this band up was the drugs, and the egos took over, and that's why, like.
Yeah.
No, that's what
Okay. See, I don't really know much of the story after this period, because like I was really just obsessed with this album in particular.
Yeah, so. And I was too. And then I watched the documentary, and it said like they recorded Islands, the album released in 1977.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So that was in between recording this and the release.
So yeah, obviously it wasn't their last waltz, because they ended video of this and they made a new album, is what you're saying,
right? Yeah, and then a year and a half later they released everything. I think maybe it was 2 years, because it was recorded on Thanksgiving Day in 1976, and then it was released April 26, 1978. At least the album was. Film might have been on Thanksgiving itself.
Yeah. I'm not sure, but they weren't done though. That's the.
Well, once they released this finally, like they had another recording session set up. At least according to Robbie Robertson, he showed up to the session and nobody else showed up.
Oh, were they just like, I thought it was the last waltz.
Yeah, I thought we were done. Once this is out, because like the Beatles had the same thing. Like they recorded Abbey Road before Let It Be, or Let It Be before Abbey Road, and then they recorded.
So do you think it was like not? It was just literally something that they didn't talk about and didn't get on the same page about?
Yeah.
That's
and I think the rest of the band kind of had made up their mind. Levon was really upset with Robbie Robertson that he, like, the songwriting credits were all going to him, so he was making the money. All of these different stars were all loving on Robbie Robertson, and that ate Levon up. And that's why the 70s and the egos definitely got into that friendship. And they Robbie called, he's like, Levon was my brother. Like they were all my brothers, but Levon and Robbie were like inseparable.
Yeah.
And it's hard to, it sucks because they could have made and the band did get back together in 1983. They started touring again
Yeah.
and released some albums, but none of them are. A lot of them are covers, and there's some good stuff there too, but it's not, the original.
Yeah,
lineup.
yeah. They weren't, as young as they are at this point. Because they still look like really young, considering this is like the last Waltz. You know what I mean? They all look like in their prime.
Well, yeah, that's like that's what I love about that, like that whole time frame of music. Like you had the '60s where all these people got together and they had this wonderful collaboratory music coming up and these different sounds, and then like the early '70s happened and it all just blew up. And everybody like reorganized. That's like Crosby, Stills, and Nash. The reason they called themselves that was because they just all left groups that decided to go on without them, and they were like, "We're not doing that again. If we're not part of this band cannot go on."
I was gonna say, going through the music industry just once will really change how you do things after that. But we're gonna get back though. Before we talk more, we're gonna get back to before everything went south after the recording of this and the other album. This is "Who Do You Love?"
As you might have heard, we got a couple of friends joining in with us tonight. 16 years ago when we started with a guy. We'd like to start with him, the Hawk, Ronnie Hawkins.
That was a Bo Diddley song that they were covering.
Oh, okay.
And then that was one that definitely was. They had like done songs like that, the rockabilly type of stuff, in the late '50s.
Yeah. That's I think this is one that kind of really makes me think again about how they could be like compared to the Beatles, because like I feel like this is like the kind of thing Paul McCartney. We've talked about the Paul McCartney Scream. I feel like this could be like what Paul McCartney like wishes that he was doing. You know what I mean? Like this is almost, I think, the kind of band Paul at least wished that he could be in. Because he's just letting loose. He's just having the time of his life on stage. I don't know if he always screams it like that, or if he's just...
he did.
Oh, he did always scream it like that. Okay. I didn't know if it was just like, this is the last time. I'm going to like really ham it up. Yeah,
he's like, well, he had some very interesting comments about cocaine in that.
I'm sure a lot of people did back then.
Yeah. They had there was a lot of things going on, but he's like, this is the big... I don't know if we got the clip or if you heard that, but he's like, this is the big show or big time bill or something like that. And he's like running around. And he's like, oh, I see all these people that I've like, I've never actually talked to, but like I know them. And like, he's like, I've really made it, these guys left me and look at what they did. But, Ronnie definitely like took it back to where the whole band started. Robbie, like he started fanning Robbie with this hat, and apparently Ronnie had done that like 16, 17 years ago or whatever.
Yeah. So okay, let me get this straight. Was he someone that was in their previous band? Like the Hawks?
So it was Ronnie. So Ronnie Hawkins and the Hawks were the band.
Okay.
Band, and then Levon was in that band.
Yeah.
And then Robbie met them because he was trying to get into the music business, and Ronnie Hawkins and the Hawks were touring up in Canada, and so got involved, and then Robbie Robertson found his way into that band, and and then they kind of put everything together and grew up
Yeah, okay.
together.
I think I was mixing him up with Garth Hudson. I think I was mixing those two together because they both have the giant 70s beard.
Oh no, that's Richard Manuel. Robbie Robertson is always
The scarves.
What?
He's had a mustache, but I think he's pretty clean shaven.
Wait, is he on the keys?
No, Robbie Robertson,
Guitarist with the scarf.
Okay. Oh, okay. He's the one that's is he the one that's always introducing someone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. He doesn't sing a whole lot, but he introduces everyone.
No, and he's the one that's written everything. That's why I think it's so interesting too.
Yeah. I definitely have not been able to put, because like that's the thing. That's what I love about this band is they are the band, and like I think really, I don't know, at least for me, that whole idea was above any individuals in this group. Because I wasn't, especially when I first heard it, I wasn't familiar with like any of these people. I wasn't familiar with Bob Dylan much or Neil Young. Like it was, it was a real turning point for my music listening. But I don't know a lot of the names of the main dudes. But speaking of Neil Young, since I just did, you guys want to get on to Helpless?
Yeah.
This is track 4, Helpless.
Helpless, helpless, helpless. Helpless, helpless, helpless. Baby, can you hear me now?
And that's Joni Mitchell in the background doing vocals.
Yeah, and they were trying to keep her a surprise by hiding her like on the backstage.
Oh, is that what they were doing?
Yeah, they were
Okay.
trying to like hold her back because her next song was like coming up.
Yeah.
And because it was really weird when I was all those times I was looking at it, I was like, why would she, like, did she just decide to just join in or what?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering about. Like she was to the side of the stage, and then like all of a sudden, at some point she comes out, right?
I think the next song she'd sing Coyote. So maybe the one, like, because I think that's the next one we've got
not
here.
on this version.
Oh, not on this. Well, I think
it might have been in the concert version though.
Yeah, in the concert version. Yeah. I think at least that would make sense.
Yeah. By the way, anyone that's listening, like just about every version of this is in a different order. So we're going by the original three vinyl set release, and not what is actually, if you're watching the film start to finish. You know what I mean?
Or what the subsequent releases have been.
Yes, there's a 4-disc one that is 4 hours. We're not covering that right now. just
that'd been one hell of a Thanksgiving.
Yeah. That'd be one hell of a.
Yeah, they went to like 3 a.m.
Yep.
Dang.
It's crazy.
Hey, it was the last waltz, man.
It's the last waltz.
They put and I'll tell you what, I love how many people were coming out, and they just accepted that they were the band. You know, it takes some brass ones to call yourself the band. What's your band's name? We're the band.
That's true.
We're the band.
Yeah.
Capital T.
Like
it's capital T.
The way that your like that they talked about that Richard Manuel talked about being the Hawks, and he's like, we were the Hawks, and then you have this whole Vietnam War thing come up, and it's the Hawks and the Doves, and we don't want to be on one side or the other of that.
I didn't catch that.
So
wrinkle.
What's a way so that we're not controversial?
Yeah. Instead of the honkies or the crackers, they landed on the band.
Was.
I like that they mention it though. They're like, and people just were like kind of stand backish about that one. So we decided to go with the band. The band. I like that story a lot. Like it was the natural conclusion they came to because of what other people kind of thrust upon them, kind of. So I like that it's not just like an ego move. It's like literally like they're like, well, I mean, everyone called us the band. So
that's what we were.
Yeah. And they were the band before they met Bob Dylan, right?
No, I think it was Bob Dylan and the Hawks.
Was it Bob Dylan that solidified them into the band?
And it was like, well, they're Bob Dylan's band.
Because after the Hawks, I think they started playing with Dylan, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
They what?
They went to New York and they started playing with Dylan, and they were back in band for a few years.
In Woodstock, they like made their home in Woodstock.
Yep, the Pink House.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hence
and
music
then
from Big Pink.
Yeah, and there was some Bob Dylan albums that some of that music was recorded there too.
Interesting. Okay.
And was it Before the Flood, the live Dylan album? It's basically Dylan and the band together playing.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
And they go back and forth. Like they'll do some of their songs, their originals, and Bob Dylan plays his songs. They'll back him.
Well, no, I think that was later on. Because apparently they toured with Dylan, and like everybody was so upset about Dylan going electric, they like booed him, like everywhere they went.
Oh, were they on that tour?
Yeah.
Oh wow! I was wondering if they were the band from that tour, because like, you know, like that's like
Dylan
one of the most
going
famous.
Electric,
That's one of the most famous.
They were the band he picked when he did like Rolling Stone.
Was that 75?
Well, the tour was
65, I think.
Oh, 65.
Because the next tour, then they toured with him again once the band
right. In 74, right?
Yeah.
There was a 74 tour. Yeah.
They I think like the Paul Butterfield when at like the Newport Jazz Festival, the Paul Butterfield Blues Band backed up Dylan that first time that he went electric.
Yeah.
And then once he decided to continue to be going electric, then he stuck with the band.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
That Dylan bootleg with that whole concert was actually pretty wild.
Yeah, I really want to check that out now, because I mean,
just the album was great, but the videos from there are fantastic. Just watching people in horror see this happen.
The horror. Oh, man.
The horror.
I just want to say one more thing before we move on. This is the track that made me finally take Neil Young seriously as a young man. Like, before I was like, oh, Neil Young, he's got that silly, folk voice or whatever. And I saw this performance and I'm like, that is just such a dynamite performance, both from him and from everyone on stage, And I kind of like made sure to, revisit it and take him a little more seriously, because I was like, wow, that is,
he is a very enigmatic performer.
Crazy
Horse did some
wasn't he really fucked up on that performance too?
Yeah, if you look close enough, he has a cocaine nose.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that's something we talked about off mic. He did have like one or two parts where he's like got like a really, he's got that kind of leer that he does. His like eyes. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, where he's like glaring around.
Actually, if you want to know what I'm talking about, go check out the Album Concept Hour Side B YouTube video about Neil Young and
Crazy Horse Colorado.
Yeah, and his 12-minute song that only needed really to be 3. But yeah, I put the clip from this performance into that video because I always thought it was really funny to me as a kid. I was like 21 or something. I was a full-grown adult, but as anyone that is 30 or more knows, like it's like being a kid. All of those millennials have just shut off the podcast, but it's okay. Our 60-plus crowd is still strong.
Oh, they're with us.
Yeah.
they're yelling, keep on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess if they would ever, listen to any other episode than In the Wee Small Hours. So, I mean, they might not hear this. Anyway, you guys want to move on to Stage Fright? It's another original from the band, I believe.
Can I talk why the song was a song?
Tell me.
So they like started going on the road, and they had tried to go on the road, and then Rick Donko like broke his neck in a car accident.
Oh God.
And so that was like right after the music from the Big Pink.
Jesus.
And they were like this great thing, and they did really well, and then they couldn't go out and support that album because of a broken neck.
Yeah.
So they recorded the band, like the self-titled album, and then I think so. Like there was a gap of time where they didn't tour, and then they finally got out, and Robbie Robertson was like he couldn't do it. He actually had stage fright.
Oh, okay.
And they were like, what are we gonna do? We really need to be out here, you know?
Yeah.
And so they hired a person that hypnotizes you.
What?
Yeah. A hypnotist. Yeah, thanks, Steve. And so they hired a hypnotist.
Is that what a hypnotist is hypnotizing us?
They put him in a trance, and they're like, every time I say grow, like you'll think you feel okay.
What the fuck?
And so like Robbie had been like laying down for like a series of time, and then like the hypnotist put him in a trance, and he said get up, and then Robbie like fell down, and they're like, oh yeah, he's been like laying down in bed for like the last 5 days, like his muscles have no time. And so they got him to lay down, and he was like, the hypnotist is like, you're gonna feel okay, grow. And then and then they told him to get up, and he got up, and he was fine. And they had him in a trance. They got him to the show, and the hypnotist is like standing on stage at one of these. It's like probably the first show, and Robbie like looks over at him like he's starting to freak out, and the hypnotist says, "Grow,
grow,"
and he's
grow with love,
and he's fine.
Oh my god, that is epic. That is,
and
really,
so that's
really cool.
that's why it's called stage fright. I'm pretty sure. So.
You know what?
And one of my favorite songs by them.
It's one of mine too, and I'm so glad that you told me about that. That's really cool. But yeah, this is stage fright.
Now deep in the heart of a lonely kid, suffering so much for what he did. They gave this poor boy his fortune and fame. Since that day, he ain't been the same.
So I gotta say, like, I relate to this song especially because, you know, like I've said a few times in this podcast, I used to be in a band, and I used to tour and be in front of a lot of people back in high school. And, you know, I went from like, you know, being able to comfortably, you know, play in front of like 1,000 or more to like after that, like it's such an anxiety trip just to play at a coffee shop. You know what I mean? So this song is always, you know, because of that, had a special place with me because I struggle with the anxiety stuff too. And I like that the singer that's singing is using, you know, kind of as an unconventional voice. It's not a bad voice, but it's like, you know,
Rick, yeah.
Yeah, I really, really like his voice because it's just raw and it's real.
They all have such unique voices.
Yeah.
And they're so like, they all have just such, peculiar and so different. Like none of them sound the same.
Yeah, they're pretty distinct.
They play off each other so well, like coming up like the weight with Levon and Rick, just back and kind of back. I just love their trade off.
They are a well-oiled machine.
Definitely, sure. Yeah. They really they're the kind of band that can, you know, they can look at each other and like make a decision and go with it, you know, without even really speaking, you know. But. Yeah.
Apparently it was intended to be sung by Richard Manuel, but it became clear that the song was better suited for Rick Danko's nervous, tremulous voice.
Oh, so they chose it because of his voice, okay. That's really cool. Because it does fit.
Robbie had chose Richard to, like, when he initially wrote it, for Richard to sing it. But then it became clear that because it was about stage fright, that, like, Brad, you talked about it.
Yeah.
The Rick's nervous, tremulous voice.
Yeah. That's really, really cool. Like, I didn't know that they made the conscious decision for that. I thought it was like, first of all, I thought it was by the bass player. I thought it was by him because he owned it so well. You know, I thought it was like, surely this is written by him. But that just goes to show how well that they work together. You know, they know how to use each other's, abilities and when to use each other's abilities, which is just so freaking cool to see work out so well. You know.
And it's another, I think a great thing about this concert is it showed, because they had been together so long, it took so many different parts of not only their career but different parts of music that they had worked with and through on their path. I mean, this being such a, like, if they wouldn't have been able to perform, this band wouldn't have been the band for as long or as impactful.
Well, because sometimes concert films or live albums like don't live up to the hype. Like there's
only a handful that are really good.
Yeah, right. Sometimes like you hear one and you're like,
and they're getting less and less by the day.
Well, it makes you realize like, oh, this band's actually not that good. Or
this sounds nothing like what I've listened to, and they're just
or if there's a big discrepancy between maybe the live sound and the
what they do in the studio.
Yeah, that's always been a big problem for me.
Other musicians playing. The tracks.
I've had that where like I've seen a band live, like an indie band or whatever, and then like I'll buy the album and bring it home, and I'm like, oh, this isn't really what they played. But yeah, it's I know.
The Red Hot Chili Peppers had that problem for a long time.
Well, yeah,
like, they couldn't get it. They couldn't get the sound they did live on record very well. They
did, and they did go through a lot of changes in their production too. Yeah.
Well, so many bands in the '60s didn't actually play on their records. Like they had the Wrecking Crew or other studio groups.
Studio musicians that played.
Yeah,
and they were like really, really good musicians. But like the artist wanted to, like, the Monkees are a good example of like that type of a band.
Oh yeah. Good point. Yeah. But I was gonna say, do you guys want to move on to this is going to be the first song on side B of the first vinyl. This is the song.
It's the track, Brad.
Coyote.
Yes.
The next thing I know, that coyote's at my door. He pins me in a corner and he won't take no. He drags me out on the dance floor and they're dancing close and slow. Now he's got a woman at home. He's got another woman down.
Just take a second to say how awesome Joni Mitchell is.
So fucking good.
I really don't like Joni Mitchell. So
oh, really? Interesting.
Like
that's surprising coming from you.
I appreciate what she is and what she does and like her whole thing, but she is not for me. So
that's so interesting coming from you, Jake, of all people. Like I'm shocked.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't. It's just not for me. So
man, Blue was so good.
For me, it's a lot about, I think, my mom listening to a lot of these people in this kind of vein. I don't know the names of any of them.
You've always said that.
Yeah, I don't know the names of any of them. I just remember my mom was always about this kind of flavor of female artist. But yeah, she's very jazzy. She's very very distinct. Has a very distinct voice.
It's like slam poetry to a degree for me.
Yeah. I think that it is unconventional. Like she's not trying to sing to the highest of her register and get the vibrato and show off her voice necessarily. But she is a good singer.
I don't think the vocals are like matching any of the chords. Like it's very, like
I could see that.
It's like there's there's like, I don't know. It's not. There's too much. It's not tension that I'm looking for the word, but it's
no. I know what you mean. There's like I know sometimes I think that I agree. There's amazing stuff from her, but I think there have been some songs where I've listened to where I'm like feeling the same, where it's like the what she's singing that isn't necessarily connecting to what's being played all the time. But
yeah, which is a whole thing, and again, that's great, and everybody who likes her, good.
Yeah. She's one of those, on the top of a lot of people's lists of, old, female rockers.
Vocal singers.
Yeah.
And she's apparently the sole producer of credit on most of her albums, which is something great to be working, especially in that era.
Well, I was gonna say about like this song is like, I'm so glad that this is the song that she chose, because it is such a pointed, like, feminist allegory, and it is, just, I mean, she's laying it out start to finish, like, hey, I'm talking about this like predator guy that I met at the bar, essentially, and he won't take no for an answer, and this is what ladies go through all the time. But yeah, I love that. I think that that's probably why she connects, especially with women at the time. She's a very strong female feminist, like person as far as her lyrics go.
I think this is a connection to the band's era. Like Joni Mitchell was her time at the Troubadour in Los Angeles, and her connection somewhere between 1971 and 1972, she signed with Asylum Records, which was owned by David Geffen, and then she went on to work with at Geffen Records. And Asylum was like home of the Eagles and James Taylor, and like a lot of those Linda Ronstadt, all those groups there. And it's so I think, like, again, connecting to the path of the band. After Music from the Big Pink, they and maybe the band, the album, the band. Robbie Robertson moved out to Southern California, and was he just loved it out there. He thought, why are we in
of course
in New York New
York, upstate, or
Woods. I think it's Wood. It was Woodstock, I think.
Oh, was that in New York? I guess I never like thought to ask where that was.
I Woodstock.
believe it is New York is.
Yeah, I was assuming it was in some like Midwest bullshit state. I mean, that's one of our states. So, I mean, I'm speaking, I mean that kind.
How dare you, Brad?
We're one of those flyover states or some shit. I don't know.
That'd be Michigan.
He convinced them to move out to Los Angeles, and like, the weather's so much better. And Robbie Robertson had like 2 or 3 kids at the time. And so like just a better environment and better place to live. It just was like, and he convinced the whole band to move out there. So then sign with Asylum Records, and apparently David Geffen wanted to get Bob Dylan on his label, and this was one of the ways to get to Bob Dylan. Who really hadn't like toured, hadn't done much.
Like a chess master.
He was. Yeah.
That's smart.
Playing the long game. Well, forget these guys here.
And eventually he did get Bob Dylan, so it worked.
All right. Well, wow. All right. I guess everything worked out for them. By the way, the last song, Coyote, had Dr. John, the guy you were talking about earlier, John.
Yeah.
Are you excited?
He sounds so good on the track.
Are you excited for Dr. John because you share his name? Is that
No. I actually, it's because of his voice. Like I've always liked his songs. I never knew who he was.
Okay.
And I found out his name was Dr. John.
Here he's just on the conga, so I don't think he's singing on this one. But on the next track, we have another legend in the game. We got Neil Diamond coming in for this track. So this is Dry Your Eyes with the introduction.
Here's somebody you know for sure. Neil Diamond.
Thanks very much.
Dry your eyes.
Brad, when I was so I played this album in the kitchen with me and Lance.
Oh yeah, at the nursing facility.
And like this, and this song came on, and Lance was just like, "Is that Neil Diamond?" And I was like, "Yes, it is."
Yeah, like usually when Neil Diamond comes on, it's usually that's the right response. Like, is that Neil Diamond? It's like you never really expect Neil Diamond, but it's always pleasant.
Come into America.
It's always a pleasant surprise though when you happen upon a Neil Diamond song.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
this song was co-wrote with Robbie Robertson.
Okay.
So, they wrote it together, and they like Robbie Robertson wanted him on because it represented like the Tin Pan Alley district of New York and like the songwriting, like because he was such a prolific songwriter from the beginning in the early 60s, like and all the songs that he wrote, like one for the Monkees, I'm a Believer and among others.
Wait, he wrote I'm a Believer?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
You're blowing my mind. That's like their best song.
My God.
All right, what were you saying after that? Sorry, I was just that's a good fact.
No, I think that was about it.
All right.
On him, but
yeah. And then he was in that movie with Jack Black and right?
Saving Silverman.
Yeah. He was actually in the
so good.
So great. One of my favorite celebrity cameos I think ever. It was just great. But yeah, he's not very flashy in this show. I don't think he's wearing. I forget. Is he wearing the what are those called? Rhinestones?
I don't think so.
I think he's pretty low. I think he's pretty low key
maybe?
in this one, right?
For Neil, yeah.
For him, yeah. So
this is just another great track that really shows the weight that the band had.
Man, I wish that I could just use that to transition into the weight, but we got to wait until the end of the next episode almost.
There's a million transitions. We can wait and make a better one.
Neil Diamond
I guess that's a transition into
blue
waiting.
Suit with like a red shirt, just very chill.
Yeah, it's pretty subdued for him. Yeah. But it's a fun track. But I think we're gonna play one more track, and then we're gonna get into a little break. This is "It Makes No Difference." It's track 8. I really like that as a. I like how they space out the songs that are theirs. That's just them.
Just kind of intermingling between like all the other guests.
Yeah, like they keep reminding you every so many songs that they can hold their own against all of these people. I mean, not that it's competition, but I mean. Yeah,
it's their last waltz.
Yeah, exactly.
They had fun with it. No matter how much they hated two of the other guys, they're like, all right, this is it. It's the last time I'm working with this guy for a long time.
Well, they didn't. A lot of them didn't think that though.
That's true. Yeah, as you were saying, what was it? The drummer was definitely didn't think that, but some others thought that it was.
The guitarist didn't think that they were gonna.
Oh, the guitarist. Sorry.
They didn't.
yes.
Yeah, he didn't think that they were going to end for a long time, and then.
Yeah.
But they did. But they did record the album that Islands album the next year.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
Yeah.
As far as ultimate concerts in the concert environment and on the road rather than that
studio work.
This was it.
Yeah.
You know, you know who I think listened to a lot of the band? Alabama.
Oh,
like
the band
country
Alabama.
band, it's very similar vocal stylings,
Okay.
Because Alabama also had a very nice vocal harmony like this.
I think we're covering Alabama at some point on side B. Don't they have a self-titled?
It's possible. Dude, you gotta have me out for that.
Oh, by the way, the New York episode's out. I just need to get you the link to it. And anyone that's listening, the New York episode that we did with Lou Reed, yes, the Lou Reed New York episode, which is
very good.
All over the place. He uses a few bad words, but check it out at patreon.com/Flyover State Park, or just go on to YouTube and check out our 5-minute clip that's free. But anyway, I like that this is a nice ensemble piece. Like they're all singing together. They're all because that's the thing. When they come together and they do it just without anyone else, they're so tight. They're just reading each other's minds.
When you play together so long, you can read each other's minds almost.
Yeah,
and you just have you're in a zone to a point.
I mean, I was just playing pop punk when I was playing, and after 4+ years of that, we were kind of at that level because we were from high school.
You start playing together
with each other.
Long enough, you'll just kind of you find that rhythm and you get in that zone.
It's a language, Yeah. And
some very interesting things that critic Barney Hoskins talked about, saying that it's an artistly, simple country soul ballad.
Yeah.
And one of pop music's saddest songs, said Craig Harris. According to Robbie Robertson, he wrote the song for Rick to sing again. And when we started discovering the possibilities, it kept expanding to more levels of emotion. And what Garth and Robbie could add to finalize the statement of the song was purely instinctual.
Yeah. I guess I didn't look at the lyrics too much for this, but you can feel it definitely.
They're pretty good. Yeah,
a lot of these songs, you can really feel the emotion that they are trying to convey. They're really, really good at that.
The anguished guitar and saxophone solos.
Yeah.
I think is this one. I gotta look in the notes that I made for this one.
Yeah.
This is the soprano. It makes no difference, right? That's
yeah. It makes no difference.
Yeah. So I wrote down a love letter or a sadness. Just talking about your emotions, and then the soprano sax. Underused in music by Garth Hudson.
Okay.
Was really good.
Oh, in this song there was a soprano sax.
Song, yeah.
Oh, I guess I must not have caught that. That's really cool. Yeah. And there's also, I just want to point out for a second the keys. There's there's a specific sound for the keys they seem to really, really enjoy. And it's kind of that kind of organy kind of sound.
And that's Garth.
It almost sounds like from a cartoon or something.
Yeah.
Because when you see him play, he's got 2 or 3 racks and sets, different types of
and he
keys and
turns
organs.
his chair and he's got the 2 sets on one side and then
and that's the guy that's kind of balding in the last waltz, is that right?
Yeah. He's got the hugest
amount of hair.
Beard. Yeah.
I only remember band members by the amount of hair that they have and where they have it. But I remember him having the least amount of hair from the bandmates, from what I could tell. But yeah, I think that's one cool thing that I'm finding about keyboard players is they seem to have they find their kind of tone and then they kind of make it theirs, And then when you hear that tone again, you're like, oh, that's from that band. And then you can't like directly use it too much because then people will be like, oh, that's like that other guy's tone.
And Garth has such a distinct tone and uses so many different instruments to get to that tone. It is just, it's really, really interesting. And so he's just so good.
That early like electronic equipment must have just been an insane thing to try to figure out. You know what I mean? Just analog.
Oh, well, I also heard this. I think it was Levon. He asked Garth, he's like, how did you become like what you've become? And he's like, well, I used to play in my brother's funeral parlor.
Oh.
So he was the guy on the playing all of the death music.
Oh my God. That's pretty badass, honestly. Yeah. That's a great origin story for a rock star.
That's how you learn how to play organ.
We picked him up right out of the funeral home into our band, and it worked out perfectly. People aren't looking at funeral homes enough for talent,
I think in the video of the last Waltz, he has one of the interviews, he makes a comment. He didn't want to be just a musician because I think it was his parents like that. There's no money in that. So he's like, well, I'll be like the tutor. So basically, he got paid a few bucks more, and he taught like the other members how to play their instruments and play other instruments as well. Like he kind of like was the teacher in the group.
Oh, wow.
Well, really definitely, and he's the one that like everybody could play like 3 or 4 instruments, but I think Garth could play like.
Oh no! Yeah, it was a laundry list.
Like a music teacher.
Yeah.
Like has to learn countless.
Eventually, they all kind of started like taking on more things and slowly kind of growing their their expansion of what they can play.
Man, it was so cool to be around all that. But you guys want to take a quick break though before we get into the second half of this.
Sure. Do we have to do? Don't we have to do one more? Don't we have to do Such a Night, and then we can, and then it's side 3?
Well, it's side 3. Yeah. Well, yeah. I guess we could round it off with Such a Night if you want to round it off. But then there's just 4 tracks left for this episode.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yes. So we are stopping like in the middle of side B on side A. Disc 1, side
2.
B. Yes. Both of those are correct.
Yeah.
And then when we get back from the break, we will do Such a Night and then get into the second record. How does that sound, guys?
Sounds good.
All right. We'll see you guys in a few. Welcome to the Album Concept Hour, the second half of the Side A podcast. We are covering the last Waltz. And when we left you, we just finished up with the song It Makes No Difference, a real sad one. And before we get on to the second disc of this, or vinyl, if you're listening on vinyl at home, we have Such a Night. And I wish you would. It's it might be hard to find. And if you find it, you might even be missing one of the discs. So you never know. Here is Such a Night.
With my best friend Jim, here I am just trying to steal you away from him. Oh, baby, if I don't do it, somebody else will. If I don't do it, somebody else will.
That's Dr. John.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
We just lost he died within the last couple of years.
Oh, really? Okay. Rest in peace. Yeah. What is he from before
June 6th,
this?
2019.
Okay.
There you go.
Oh, he got out right. He got out right before 20.
Yeah.
That's cool.
He is like a New Orleans musician, piano player. I can look up some other things. I think I'm missing some things.
The only album you need is Gree Gree. If you got that, you're solid.
Okay. All right. I'll put that on my ever expanding list.
And a fun just Dr. John. It was I used to watch Top Chef religiously a lot, and there's an episode when I think they're down south, and they had him on for like the first quickfire challenge, and his requests was like, the food whatever you make, it has to have hip tang, and everyone's like stops and like, what the fuck, hip tang? What's hip tang? Like they're trying to figure out what this guy's talking about. And he's trying all their dishes, and he's like, oh, and he's just rambling like a madman. And it's genius, and it's awesome to watch. Mm-hmm. And just to see this crazy guy just talk about food was fantastic.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Well, apparently he was involved in illegal activities in New Orleans up until like 1965, selling and using narcotics and running a brothel.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Sounds like
that tracks.
New Orleans. I don't know like why that's illegal.
Yeah, is that illegal there? Oh shit!
Yeah, it's like selling coffee and oysters down there. I don't know.
Yeah,
and then he settled in Los Angeles and became part of the Wrecking Crew, who I alluded to earlier was like one of the great studio bands. And
there's a great documentary on Netflix.
Is that when he put his
really good?
Did he put his nefarious ways behind him for the Wrecking Crew, or was that something that happened concurrently?
No, I think he cleaned things up from there.
Okay.
With a brother on the side.
Yeah. He probably left it in the hands of one of his close friends or something.
Trusted associates.
Yeah.
He like even before that happened, he like lost part of his ring finger because of a gunshot incident. So and then he focused on like stopped playing guitar as much, concentrated on bass before making piano his main instrument. So
wow.
Piano by default.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have to look more into this guy's whole deal when I get a chance. That's very interesting. I didn't know much about Dr. John. There's like some people. I assume everyone in this is like important, but yeah,
they're all pretty big, accomplished musicians.
Yeah. But yeah, you guys want to get on to this next track 10. This is one that if you've heard the band, you've probably heard this one, I think. But this is The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down, and it's the start of the second vinyl.
You can't raise a cane back up when he's in defeat. The night they drove old Dixie down, when all the bells were ringing.
Yeah, very
great clip, Brad. Great clip.
Thank you. I really wanted to get to the heart of that clip since it's one of the ones that, especially in this post-insurrection age, it's got a little more complicated as it ages. But this is from the perspective of a poor, non-slave owning white guy in the South. After the Civil War has ended, and he's trying to make sense of like losing family and stuff, and what it meant to him and all that. So on the surface, it does seem to be like a pro-Confederacy kind of number, and I'm sure there's some people out there that use it that way, but I don't think that was the intention in the story he's making. But yeah, what do you guys think?
I mean, you just can't beat like the vocals on this, the grandeur.
Yeah,
of the song.
You cannot beat like any of the production, the feeling. Like it is a really emotional song.
Yeah. I mean, I really like that song.
Yeah.
But yeah, the ideology of the lost cause of the Confederacy, making it an endorsement of slavery to an extent. Like I actually taught like a lesson about this a few years ago when I was subbing. I taught I brought a lesson in about like these types of songs, like the South and being proud to be from the South. And like so weird that it like and this doesn't exactly go, but I brought this song up because it's bringing, you don't do this with Nazi Germany. Like,
no. Yeah.
It's just, or different coups that have been started, different civil in other countries. It's so weird. It is just so, and like I said, I like the song.
Yeah.
But overall, like, it's got this, like, Charlie Daniels sing, like, that song, "The South's Gonna Do It Again." Bands, but like,
I think I think that, like, it's something where, like, I don't know, at the time the idea that the South would rise was probably felt pretty, like, ridiculous, maybe, because after the civil rights movement, but at the same time, this definitely is something that those that want the South, quote unquote, to rise again or whatever, this is going to be on their playlist. Like, they're definitely going to be listening to this and, like, getting, inspiration about, the supposed good old days. So it's one that that's always had, like, kind of a complicated feeling for me, just because, like, I don't want to glorify the South, but it is a beautiful,
I mean, to an extent, though, it really is just trying to talk about the life of a man who he lost it all. His ideology was wrong, proved wrong. The North won.
From, like, a storytelling, like, perspective, it's
just
like
a folk song.
Yeah.
That's what.
But I get the implication on it, and you're absolutely right.
Yeah,
and I mean, and a majority of the people that were in this, like, for the cause, weren't. It wasn't their decision. They were fighting the rich people's war.
Always.
But that doesn't make it right, and it doesn't mean that we should, like, talk about this being like the lost cause and
absolutely.
Sometimes you got to appreciate something for what it is.
Like the production is really great. It's one of the I think it's one of Levon Helm's best performances vocally. Speaking of which, like, drummer singing back then, like,
anytime,
that's true. Anytime I see a drummer singing, I'm like, holy crap.
Oh yeah, that's so
the amount
cool.
of, like, control, and their lungs just must be just the healthiest lungs around. Like, I can't imagine doing all of that at once.
He said it was easier, which I don't know if he was, like, just being he's just about it, but, like,
I guess if one of those things, the way I've played in, like, sang and played, and I think that if you look at one of those things and you have it down so good that it's like a second nature, then you can focus on the other thing if you're not as good as the other thing, So either he's so great at vocals that he doesn't really have to think about it, or he's so great at drums that he doesn't really have to think about it,
And I think it had a lot to do with, like, I think he, like, grew up doing it. Yeah. And it was like, he said that he sang in between the gaps. Like, he pulled out, like, an example of it, and I couldn't even hear it. Like, how he thought of it being easier, but he's like, in between these hits, I'm, like, emphasizing, and
I'm sure he's got a whole science behind it in his brain.
Yeah, like a breathing exercise, or how he, like.
Yeah. Because, like, that's the thing about music is, I mean, there is the music theory, but really, a lot of musicians kind of figure their own tricks out, and he's
nobody that sounds that's playing. There's not a whole lot of drummers that sing, but, like, when you watched Ringo sing, like, in comparison to Levon, it's like a 180.
Yeah, for me. When I was growing up, this is not on the same caliber at all, but the band Under Oath, which was this emo screamo band, their drummer sang and sang, like, really high pop punky kind of stuff. And that was my first exposure to a drummer that sang, and I was always like, from that point on, just floored whenever I saw a drummer do that. So, yeah, props to any drummers doing that, guys. Yeah,
the way that he sings, I wrote in here like teeth singing,
teeth singing.
You can see his teeth, like his teeth when he's like really trying to make the words come out clear and loud, like it's
the drummer. The drummer. Yeah. You can, now that you mention that, you're right.
He's got elongated neck.
I didn't notice that, but you're right.
He's like always got his neck out there, and it's like he could be sitting back, and like Ringo is always sitting back when you see him playing and singing or just playing in general. And Levon is like attacking.
Yeah.
At all times.
Yeah. He's tight. He's always tight. But yeah, you guys want to get on to Mystery Train?
One quick thing. This is the last time that Leon performed this song. After the last waltz, he refused playing the song.
Oh.
Really?
Oh, because of the connotations?
Cool.
Or
well, it says, although it's been long believed that the reason for Helm's refusal to play the song was a dispute with Robinson over songwriting credits, according to Garth Hudson. The refusal was due to Helm's dislike for Joan Baez's version.
Oh yeah, I did see that he didn't like.
She made more money off of the song.
Is that the one that changed the lyrics? Someone made a version that I also read that either when they performed this later they changed the lyrics, or
that was her.
Oh, that was her. Okay.
She learned the song by listening to the recording of the band's album, had never seen the printed lyrics at the time, and she recorded and thus sang the lyrics as she had misheard them. And then in her concert, she's performed the song as originally written by Robbie Robertson.
Interesting. Wow. That I guess harkens back to that age before you could look stuff up. You know, it's just like, I thought it said this. Then a big mistake and dispute is happening or something.
Big boo-boo.
Interesting.
Big boo-boo.
Yeah, I'll have to check that version out when I get a chance. But yeah, her version did point out, like, what was it? I think it had a line about stopping the hate or something. So definitively kind of, frowning on the Southern cause at the end of the song. So, yeah, a little bit of different connotation with that. But that's interesting. But yeah, this is a Mystery Train.
Song that was originally performed or written by Junior Parker, an African American, and I think he performed it at Sun Studios in Memphis.
Okay.
Sam Phillips, the owner of Sun Studios, has songwriting credit on it.
Okay.
And then Elvis Presley would end up recording this, one of his first songs.
Oh, so was it popularized then
from the Sun Sessions?
Yeah, some of the Sun Sessions with Elvis. Yeah.
Okay. And then this is performed by Paul Butterfield.
Yeah, and the Paul Butterfield Blues Band was like really famous in San Francisco.
Okay.
And in like the mid '60s, and they released it on their album, their self-titled album as well.
Okay. Yeah, that's one thing. A lot of these songs, obviously, since there's different artists and different people involved, like a lot of these are on different things as well. This is not a self-contained thing. No. Which is, I mean, I couldn't even find a list of the lyrics on Genius for this album. So, which surprises me. It's the last waltz, but I guess I'll have to put it up myself. Get more IQ points.
This is another one of those songs that like came out of Memphis and that area, and like heavily influenced by Levon being from that area, and like the blues influence was heavy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah. I like how in this song he makes the harmonica basically sound like a train, essentially.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's why I chose that clip. It's just like and like everything is kind of working together like a
Yeah, those are really nice harmonica in there.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's
Paul Butterfield was great. I think he died in like 1987 of like a drug overdose.
Oh no.
But
R.I.P. That guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, he killed it in this
87
song.
drug overdose.
Yeah, yeah.
That's 10 years of Under the Covers for you that I've just memorized all these.
That's really cool. We don't usually have this kind of immediate information. Like John's got the all the award stuff figured out. Like he's got that down pat. But he doesn't know all of the death dates for these celebrities necessarily.
Listen to the show. There's one way that you can think of it.
Yeah.
My show in one way, it's either negative or you get a lot of information. So
well, hey, you'll at least know if they're continuing. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you hear a song and you're like, hey, is this person still around? But yeah.
Well, there's an example.
Yeah.
So
yeah. That's funny.
Sam Phillips recorded a lot of these like African American artists and like started Sun Records as like a blues label, and so the credit like the fact that Junior Parker's got credit on this is great. Sam Phillips ended up making his way on it too, but
but
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I didn't know all of the other connections with this one. I think for this one, I just assumed like a lot of these tracks that it was by the person that they were bringing up. But what about this next track, Manish Boy? We have a really big legend in this one. So here is Manish Boy.
That mean Manish Boy. Man. I'm a full-grown man.
This was an answer song to Bo Diddley's song "I'm a Man."
Okay.
And,
name a more classic blues riff. I give you.
Released in like 1955.
Yeah, this is one of the main ones. You know. I feel like this is like one of the songs that like you hear many times by many different people. It's a standard, you know.
Yeah, I think this one was done by Jimi Hendrix even.
Yep, and it's often covered or at least like even referenced
or named or anything.
Yeah. So how? Do you know what their connection to Muddy Waters was? Was he just someone that they looked up to? Was someone they played with before?
Especially Levon Helm.
Okay.
Wanted him.
Okay.
And I'm just looking. Yeah, so Muddy Waters was his birth name was McKinley Morganfield, and he was born in that Mississippi Delta.
Oh, okay.
That same isle that produced so much great music.
Okay. Okay.
And they were like going through the list of artists on the Last Waltz, like the movie.
Yeah.
And they were like, they were debating on like who they would need to cut, and they were going to cut Muddy Waters out.
What?
And yeah, and it became a really big point of controversy because it was either Robbie Robertson wanted Neil Diamond and like really bad, and Levon really didn't want him on the show in the concert.
Okay.
I mean, like he didn't mind him, but then they were like, well, we need to cut somebody. We think we're going to cut Muddy Waters. And Levon's like, if you're going to cut anybody, he said, I'm not going to play anymore. I'm going to quit if you cut Muddy Waters. If there's anybody you should cut, it should be Neil Diamond.
Yeah. No, cutting Muddy Waters would have been a huge mistake. That would be like just
horrible,
shitting on the legacy of black musicians and their contribution to rock. Like his inclusion in this, I think, is very important.
There's no other African Americans at least in the like main credits of the songs. We haven't talked about the horn section at all on these tracks. The horn arrangements are so good.
Okay, I don't know these.
So good.
Too.
And they're staple singers in the second episode of this.
Yeah. But there's so many horn players that there are some African American horn players in here. Howard Johnson playing tuba, Barry sax, and I think I saw him playing baritone or euphonium as well. But
there's Joe Pinetop Perkins on piano
on this track. Yep.
Yeah, this track. Yes. And I'm seeing Howard Johnson here. Yep. Okay.
Alan Toussaint, a famous New Orleans piano player, and he wrote a bunch of great songs. Arranged a lot of these, and an African American as well.
Yeah.
Tom Malone was is a trombone player. He was in the Blues Brothers. He was in the Blues Brothers movie.
Okay.
He was on Saturday Night Live's band.
Nice.
He was in David Letterman's CBS Orchestra on his late night show.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
He was playing in this as well.
Wow. Man, that guy's done a lot.
That guy did everything.
Yeah. What?
So I froze for a little while.
Oh, you did? Oh, well, welcome back, Virtual Dave.
Also, the sound, music, everything's stopping. What the hell?
Yeah. No, I didn't even notice. I'm sorry. No, we were just talking about how they were maybe going to cut Muddy Waters, and then
I hear the beginning of that, so I'm glad they didn't do that.
Yeah,
and then we talked about the horn section of this whole
they
thing,
got the horns.
I think my reason why I'm glad they didn't cut Muddy because it was such just a different song and genre. Everything they kind of if you took that out, I feel like you've been missing a piece to this puzzle.
Yeah.
So many moving parts that if you take that out, you lose a little bit.
Well, that's what's so cool about them is that they're so versatile. Is that they can go from being the leading band to just no, we'll let Muddy's out there. We'll just we'll play behind. He can do his thing. We'll follow him.
Play a little country, play a little blues, a little rock, a little everything.
And then
that's why they were the backing band for so many years.
Yeah,
the band to the stars.
I do notice
everybody was okay with that.
I do notice looking at this though. Oh wait, okay, here he is. Ringo Starr is in "I Shall Be Released." Okay,
yep.
I was thinking, wait, did they cut Ringo Starr? Is that who they cut?
There's one of the tracks that have almost everyone come back on. I think it's that track,
I think it might be that. I believe it is. Well,
Ringo might have showed up late or something because I think I remember reading somewhere where he showed up when they were jamming later.
Oh, okay.
Maybe because I don't
2 or 3 in the morning.
A single track. I think he was on that full stage where there's a couple drums, 8 guitarists. They just have everyone play.
Yeah, that's a little.
I believe it is "I Shall Be Released."
Yeah, that's a little look ahead to the second episode of this one.
Preview.
Yeah. The next episode we have
teaser.
The before we get on to the last. Oh yeah, we only have one more track for this part. But we have the side 2. Disc 2 side B, which gets into kind of the New Orleans background of these guys. And then it gets to some Bob Dylan stuff. So before, of course, ending in the Last Waltz Suite.
And Van Morrison in there too. So we go.
Yeah, he's all over that. But we got one more track left for this episode, and it is called "Further On Up the Road." And then we'll get out of here so we can let you guys listen to the next one. All right, "Further On Up the Road." Here we go.
Wasn't that a man? Muddy Waters. Our guitar, Eric Clapton.
Clapton.
So crazy to hear them playing in the 12-bar blues format.
Yeah.
And like just like it's watching the video of them up there. It's just like them in a whole different environment.
Yeah. No, it is. It's a real change of pace. This track, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Manish Boy and Mr. Train were both 12-bar blues too.
I feel like they lead up to this. Like they're so intentional.
The culmination to this.
Yeah, they're so intentional with the way they lay out at least this 3 album version, because this whole side has been kind of building up to this. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down is definitely different than the rest of them, but like, you know, Mystery Train to Further On is all in this similar kind of vein. And I think that they continue to mostly have like each side seems to have its own kind of thing, you know?
Yeah,
they're really, really good about the pacing of this release.
Eric Clapton, like I think it was around like 1970, he like asked them if like he wanted to be in the band.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he's
man.
like, do you guys want to jam? And Robbie's, I think they were like, we don't really jam. We don't.
Eric Clapton.
We don't jam, Eric.
Yeah.
We're too cool for you, bro.
They just don't, like, you know, and it's ironic because later on they do end up jamming, but like on a regular basis, the structure of the song, and this comes back to the way the songs are written.
Yeah.
The songs are all written to tell a story, and Clapton compared Robbie Robertson to George Harrison's guitar playing, and that he's not going to play 1,000 notes.
Yeah.
Like in moving, you know, he might, and in that one of those guitar solos, you can hear Robbie's he sits on one of the notes, and he just hammers on it in like in a different way. And if you've played the blues riff before, if you know the scale, you could play one note the entire time you're soloing, and you know maybe one or two notes the entire time, and make it sound good just the way it's coming out.
Yeah. If you're using different, techniques on the guitar, like moving the note around, moving the string around, strumming pattern. Yeah. I think George Harrison's a good example of that, because he's someone that is extremely talented at the guitar, but he doesn't show off so much. He's
not a maverick.
Yeah.
It's like Prince. You'd never know Prince was a really good guitarist.
Well, I mean, I don't know about that. I Prince is like
he's the solo master.
He's insane at the solos.
Yes, but people didn't know that. Just
I guess I guess if you were just familiar with like his like pop singles, you probably wouldn't know. Because I know when I was younger and I first saw Prince with the guitar, I was like, oh, I didn't know he played guitar. But like once I saw him do a few solos, I'm like, oh my god, he was like born with a guitar or something, you know?
Yeah, really, and he is like a virtuoso. He was like a virtuoso, like.
But he's also like he can do everything though. He's also like a master at pop, like so he can do just a pop song without a guitar, and it would be it's fuego. But yeah, he is. If anyone has not seen a Prince guitar solo that's listening to this, just look up Prince guitar solos. Spend an hour.
What was the big one? It was like 4 or 5 guitarists on stage, and they're all doing a song.
Yeah, it was Tears, Teardrops on guitar.
Well, there's also My Guitar Gently Weeps.
My Guitar Gently Weeping.
Yes, that's
for George Harrison.
It's the Hall of Fame performance.
Yeah, it was after George Harrison died, right? We'll put that one. We'll put that one in the description. By the way, that's a great great performance.
That particular song has Eric Clapton on.
Yes.
That he was on that Beatles record when they recorded it.
Yes,
so.
That's the one I was.
He was the first
earlier.
non-Beatle,
Callback.
or in a long.
Well, I
time.
think he was the second. I think Billy Preston was the first.
Right, you're right.
But one of the only two
yeah.
or three people that ever got that.
Yeah, he's the most
'Cause him and
famous
George Harrison
story.
were like besties at the time.
Yeah, that's a famous story of the Beatles kind of mythos, is like the time he did that thing with Eric. It was like, what's going on with George? He's doing stuff with Eric. I don't understand this. I thought it was just the Beatles in the studio.
What the hell, man?
Then he wrote.
What the hell, man?
He wrote. Him and Eric and George wrote "Badge" for Cream. The song "Badge," which is one of my.
So they did. They like did it. Traded off basically.
Yeah.
They.
Which happened.
That's
enough
cool.
times.
That's cool. All right. I like that. Well, this has been a lot of fun, guys, but we got to get to we got to get out of here so we can get to the second part of this, and we're gonna go around the horn and find out what everyone's been listening to or what you guys got to plug. So, what's going on, John? What are you listening to? What do you got to plug?
Oh, I was listening to this all day, like at work. It was good. I found a YouTube.
Oh, funny. That's kind of what I was listening to today too.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a pretty good album.
Nice.
And very surprised.
And Johnny's vaccinated, so if you see him in public, you
I am
can
vaccinated.
give him a high five or something. He can't infect you. So at least for now, until I don't know how many months that lasts. But
well, I think he can infect other people if they don't have the vaccine. If
guys, I'm not a doctor.
If they licked his hand, or
don't take my word.
It'd be weird, but there's a chance they would get a virus.
Yeah, I think carry it, but
guys, I'm not saying take your mask off.
Don't lick John, people, please.
Don't lick me, please.
But
that's not where this is going.
I am looking forward.
Give him a high five because he got the vaccine. And he's being healthy.
Just give him that demolition high five or demolition man high five where you stop in midair and just kind of circle around. You're good.
Well, I am looking forward to having him back in the studio when he can get here. And what about you, Dave? What have you been listening to, or what do you want to plug?
At this point, I just feel like I'm a broken record because I've been on for months and months like this weird little Beastie Boy kick, and I'll admit like nothing else is getting that itch. Like I'm just going through their catalog, back and forth, and like I'll throw on like a Leatherface or some other punk. I'm like, it's fun. I like this, but then like I always go right back. I'm like, this is what I need. So I finally broke down and did get the Apple TV app and watch the Beastie Boys story, and that was fantastic.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I did that 3 times in like 24 hours, and I still got to watch it again.
Yeah. If I had Apple TV, I'd be watching that right now too.
I will. If you really want it, get the app or on whatever, and I'll give you my code. They do like your text, and you can punch it in. You can watch it, man.
Nice.
I'm
always down with more information about the Beastie Boys.
It's so good.
Yeah. What about you, Jake? What have you been listening to, or what do you got to plug?
Well, I watched the documentary by I think it's on Hulu by Robbie Robertson, and which I talked about earlier, and then watched the classic albums episode on the band's self-titled album, and watched the movie The Last Waltz. So and then in between there listening to these tracks too. So
okay. Yeah.
So that's what I've been doing
Cool.
since we decided we were gonna do this. And then
you have that radio show, right?
Oh yeah, that radio show.
Yeah.
That other thing you do sometimes.
Yeah, that I've done for a while. Under the Covers is on from 6 to 8 a.m. Central Time, 91.7 WSUM FM Madison, WSUM.org, or on the TuneIn Radio app, and also on Sundays and WISY 92.5.
And isn't that
1
a
to 3 in the
podcast?
afternoon.
Isn't that a podcast too?
Yeah. So I I figured out how to properly do the podcast now, so everything's
Excellent.
loaded we're all good.
There'll be a link in the description, guys.
Yeah, so if you have Spotify, you can listen. I think if you don't have a subscription, you can listen to 30-second clips of the songs. And then if you have a Spotify subscription, you'll be able to listen to the entire the show in its entirety, or it's on Anchor FM as well.
All right, we are definitely going to have to talk about how that works after the podcast at some point. That's really cool. Maybe we could even have full songs on Spotify. Who knows?
Yeah, it's super easy. I even recorded an ad on Spotify too, or from Anchor. So that was a lot of fun because I've heard other people do ads for so long that
I've never done that. I probably should at some point here, but I haven't.
Yeah,
done it yet.
gives you the option, and it's really easy. So hopefully,
thanks Anchor for all your help, but I haven't.
Well, and you get
yet.
paid for that too. So that's the cool part too.
That is pretty cool. Getting paid is nice.
I think I've got 27 cents in the bank right now through the.
Damn, you got 27 cents already?
Man, you be.
I need to get on these ads.
Man, don't spend that in one place.
Yeah, dude. Man, I'm going to be rich in 27 cents. Increments of 27 cents.
Don't
Brad,
you be
how about
spending
you?
that all in one place.
All right. As for me, I am, of course, listening to the Album Concept Hour Discord, Desert Island Discord playlist, and I will be listening to it until we get 50 people on our Discord server. And what are we at right now? Let me just check. Hold on. The Album Concept Hour podcast. We got 7 online. We got 23 offline. All right. So I need 20 more people before I'm allowed to listen to something else. So other than that,
do Brad the favor.
I've been listening to
Please
the last
save
Waltz.
the man.
Go to our Discord in the description. Click in there. Tell us your Desert Island 5, and we'll add it to our Desert Island Discord playlist on YouTube and on Spotify. And other than that, I just want to plug Pick Apart the Passion. I am. They're going independent. They're going to be doing their own thing. Danku and Rambunctious, and we wish them the best of luck from Flyover State Park. And they have. They're going to be trying to do, I think, 2 episodes a week, maybe. So go on over to the Pick Apart the Passion YouTube page if you want to check some of that out. And other than that, check out the Patreon, guys. Spent a lot of time doing this stuff, and I'd love to continue doing it for a long time. And
what's on there, Brad? What can you get?
You can get the Album Concept Hour Side B full episodes where we're doing the Sufjan Stevens 50 States project. Where we're attempting to complete the Sufjan Stevens 50 States project. And if you want to get an example of like a free episode of that, go on over to twitch.tv/Raw Evil Gaming. All right? That's Raw Evil Gaming, because my friend Nate does a lot more on his Twitch, so we're hosting it on his channel. And on Tuesdays, 7:30 p.m. Central, we are going state by state every week, and you can watch me, Reese, and Nate break apart albums like we do on this podcast. So,
what do you got? If someone joins right now, Brad, how many do you have up? How many can we watch?
We have 5 episodes up right now, and the next episode, episode 6, we should have in video format as well. So if you want to get an example of those, we have shortened videos that give you like a little short example of the state episodes, and you can find that on the YouTube channel at Flyover State Park on YouTube. And
you said you had was it Lou Reed Berlin or no New York? New York.
Yes,
all right,
yes, New
I'm
York.
Sold.
New York is the latest one.
I'm in.
Yeah. That's the latest one up, and it's a good one. It was a great album, and we've had some albums that do represent the state a lot, and some that don't so much. Alaska, And
it's the magic of the thing.
Yeah,
rolling the dice, Brad. Just roll the dice.
Yeah, no, it's a much different podcast because in this one there is a clear concept for an album, and in that one the concept is just the name of the album is this. So
it's like you took the color of
it's
the
a real
adventures.
Yeah, we don't.
And you spun it off into a whole thing.
It's true. We don't know what we're gonna get. We listen to it blind. Unlike this podcast, it's the one way we do it a little differently. So every time we are, you're seeing us, listen to it live. That is our, at least me and Reese's first time hearing a lot of the songs. So, we try to process it in real time. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't so much. But, it's a good time. Come on over to the chat. Let us know how you feel. Go to twitch.tv/rawevilgaming and follow him so you can get the updates and know when we're about to live stream. And even John's been on episode. He's on the New York episode. So
I gotta plug that.
John was our first guest.
Plug in my New York episode on Sunday.
Patreon.com/flyoverstateparks where you get the full episodes. I know it's a lot of information, but just rewind it and check the links and do what you gotta do to find this stuff and everything. But we appreciate you guys listening. We will be back next week with part 2, which is going to start right in the middle of the second vinyl of the band's The Last Waltz. See you next week. Thanks for listening. The Album Concept Hour is Brad LeBaron, Dave Gallagher, John Aker, and Jake Foster. Special thanks to King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard for the theme music. Please like us on Facebook or friend us on Twitter or MySpace and let us know what concept album you would like to hear on the podcast. See you on Side B. This is Flyover State Park. You are clear to land.